Hello everyone! Welcome back to Let's Play Great Ace Attorney. In our last episode, we called in the foreign woman, and it's time for the real game to begin. She apparently has some pretty good evidence against us. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was from the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat, while the strong eat. You were wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content, inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime I didn't commit? And Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Wait! Your Excellency! Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
Objection!
This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Not arguing with you there. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that there is a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, I mean. Then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
That is blatant straw clutching! Look at this photographic print! All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. Oh, I don't think so. You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, if I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag... Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. I'm desperate. This isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my fingers on it. Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? Be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So take another look at this photograph print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail you have alluded.
Yes!
Look at this. Here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist. Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark. You're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated with the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of the mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be known, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn has something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. Don't keep pushing, and it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am! Another notch! If we can link that burn to the case, we can do that. We might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel! You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I am afraid that without evidence I cannot allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably links the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Yeah, she doesn't like that. Really. I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that points out what this burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. Alrighty. Of the crime scene. Oh. There, that's the one.
Yes!
What's this, Consul? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe that photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind. Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that is your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. Alright. The cow goes... Ouch.
Yes!
The beefsteak. Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah! Your Excellency! Are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. Ah! the emblem on the plate, and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you're genius! You're spot on! Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, the day before that, or most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
sadly, Prosecutor Aochi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is so clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have to have been caused by quite a commotion at the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But I would say, looking at the picture of that wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense pointed out. That's no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade... Oh, you're using Celsius. A burn like that would have been taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
Well, there you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him either. Ooh, this is twisty. Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would without any question have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Aochi? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Do you think... I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense on this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson, he was already dead. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 seconds. Not even the most macho man. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Huh? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's... Vietnamese! This is Nippon! Order, please. Council explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right! That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student who clearly has no grasp on the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie. It is you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, then this defense bench has another notch in it. What is that, 6 or 7? It's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency! The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. What? Hey! Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Oh, God! Yeah, I don't speak Japanese either, but it's only just because I can't speak Japanese. I took Japanese for 2 years in high school, and honestly, it wasn't my best class. It's definitely not a vulgar language at all. It's probably one of the most polite languages out there. Yeah, get ready for some Japanese racism here. These were very common ideas held in the day. That doesn't make them any better. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicate with you all on your own level. Oh, well. You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you have so graciously afforded us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Witness testimony. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, Pressa and I raised our glass in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please, do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Girl, you are rude as hell. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you for insulting my country. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Bitch. I usually don't say that word. But for you, that describes you quite nicely. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Right. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight to merely hear you speak, young lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony. This boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice! May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks. Was that a prayer, then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Ow! Youch, that looked like that hurt. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed further with the cross-examination. Unfortunately, I have no idea, blah blah blah.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once, that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right! Lord Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Oh. It doesn't even occur to you naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. No, you're not. A killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. I gotta find a way. Kazuma. There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Actually, no. It's right next to her, Ozunaga. He seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. You think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Excuse me. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yes!
Come on, how do I do this?
Wait.
There it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Oh, I do have to do this twice. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. The witness marker. Okay. Okay, good, that's what we're doing.
Wait. Excuse me.
Ah! What the? What's the meaning of this? You need to get that checked out. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. Lost in thoughts, but he's not all alone. Looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with the testimony, then the cross-examination should be over. Immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga! Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes, if you don't mind. I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have any evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Really? Go to a doctor, please. Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this for example. Oh, she's upset. This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone else says. There's some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. And one day you will stop coughing. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel. You may resume the cross-examination. Time to examine! The label's written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. You know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. It must be very expensive water. What does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Okay. Damn straight there is now. Wrong one.
Yes!
What is this? A bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison! On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! 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 And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. I caught a typo. Giselle Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in? Have you forgotten we've only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one's individual's guilt with respect to one crime. The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We're here to determine the truth. Ahem. If I may, I will silence you forever. Shut up! Oh, I didn't catch that. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believed. This bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contains poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! Ow! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, young lady, the pleasure was all ours. No. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, Counsel. I think that cross-examination has cleared everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding the weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience it has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. I bet you are. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this time? Kazuma. I'm sorry, Rinosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Oh? Oh, it's you! Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furokushi cloth. There we go. Part 3. We're nearly done. Well, I understand you're the judicial assistant to the defense, but why the sudden ingress into my courtroom? A judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence I must hand over to the defense. Ah! You're too late, little girl. The trial has been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency! I'm most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please simply accept this for now. A report about something, written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university and went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So does this have anything to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare, what's that? Never heard of it. Time's up! Prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. Great, we got the racism in here and we got the sexism now. It was too little time to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. Goodbye and good luck. You have had long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. Ask the prosecution and defense one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present the court? I assume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. We're out of options here. It really is our very last chance. Your Excellency, the defense has new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett. Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett, it seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat it as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. That hat makes no sense. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention?
Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yuma University. Doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? What are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? What complete and utter nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before, for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order! 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 Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states it's produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced by curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Bress? Miss Brett. Sorry about that.
Objection!
Trumpery! These aspersions are utter trumpery! To start with, if the victim had been administered by some of the so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and wreathing in pain, The other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence curare was used. Explain yourself, counsel. The moment it enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis, and I will continue in the next episode.